Grace, have you already submitted the divorce papers?
Yes, mother-in-law. No, wait. You're no longer my mother-in-law, and honestly, I don't want to call you that. So for now, I'll just refer to you as Bridget.
Do as you please. So, when are you moving out? I expect you to be gone before Xander and I return from dinner. Because if you're not, I'm going to have a few things to say about you right then and there.
I've already packed my things. Right now, I'm just waiting for the car to pick me up.
Oh, really? You've been married to my son for 30 years, and during all that time, I heard that you had no family left. But I guess you do have a friend who can come pick you up. What a surprise. So, what time are you leaving?
I'll be gone from this house in 30 minutes.
I see. Just remember, if you're still here even a minute past that, I will throw you out without hesitation.
You don't need to worry about that. I'm just as eager to leave this place as you are. I'm actually already outside the front door.
What? Wait a second. Are you saying you're outside the door with all your luggage? It's raining right now.
Yes, it is, but I'm glad there's a roof over the entrance.
How long have you been out there?
I've been out there for about 15 minutes now.
What did you just say? At least stay inside the entrance. You'll get strange looks from the neighbors.
Well, at this point, that's the least of my concerns. It's already well known around here that there's a wicked mother-in-law who loves to bully her daughter-in-law.
What?
Not to mention, you've also dumped the care of Xander and our great-aunt onto me, forcing me to do all of the household chores. Then once that caregiving was over, you kicked me out and made sure I got divorced from your son. Everyone knows about it.
What?
Did you really not know any of this?
Grace, how could you? You spread such outrageous lies about me out of spite for the divorce.
I think you're misunderstanding the situation. I haven't done anything wrong.
What?
Let's be honest. Your commands and insults are incredibly loud. It seems the neighbors picked up on that, and it spread from there.
What are you talking about?
It seems like your ride is about to arrive. I'll wrap this message up right now. I'll leave the keys in the mailbox.
Wait a minute.
I met Xander when I was 23. We were both the same age and had an arranged marriage. And now, after 30 years, here I am. I've also been living with your family for the same length of time. I must say, I've endured a lot.
Grace, just a moment. Before you leave, at least tell the neighbors that I didn't bully you or anything like that. You need to wait because I'll be home soon.
I've already gotten into the car that's come to pick me up.
What? What's going on here? Grace! Hey, I just passed the car you got into. What's up with that luxury vehicle? How could someone like you, who has been a stay-at-home wife for 30 years, possibly afford to ride in such an expensive car? You've received only a small amount from the division of assets, barely enough to cover your basic living expenses for time being. What is happening? What does this mean? Grace, you need to explain this to me right now.
Grace, good morning.
Good morning, Xander.
You were right not to tell Mom about your grandfather.
I'm glad I didn't. The last thing we needed was for her to worry about that, on top of everything else.
Yeah, I agree.
I didn't expect that at all, but it did leave me feeling a bit relieved.
Well, sometimes surprises can be good, right? But how are you holding up? Is everything okay on your end?
For the most part, yes. I mean, it's been a whirlwind, but I'm managing. It's just a bit surreal to think about everything that has just happened, but at least there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
I understand. Just hang in there for a little while longer. We only have 3 months to go. After 3 months, Carter will be retiring from his overseas assignment and he'll be bringing his family back home with him.
Right, and when he's back, everything should start changing for the better. It's comforting to know that your mother's plans will be turned upside down.
Exactly. It's only a matter of time now. Just a little patience is all we need. Until then, we'll keep our heads down and focus on what's important.
Absolutely.
Xander,
Mom, what is it?
what is going on here?
What do you mean?
Why is Carter's luggage arriving at our house? Carter has moved overseas with his family and has been living there for over 10 years.
Wait, did I not mention that I heard from him? He's coming back today, along with his belongings.
What?
Hey, Mom, have you forgotten your own brother's age? There's more than a decade difference between you two, so at least try to remember his age.
What does his age have to do with this?
Carter is 65 years old, right?
A retirement age.
I've heard him say before that he planned to live in America after retiring.
This year was the year he was supposed to return, and he mentioned it during his visit at New Year's.
Exactly. During that visit, he even gave us a schedule. Since then, that schedule has been stuck on the fridge door, and we all agreed to follow it. Right? It's been there the whole time. I thought you were just being overly casual about things, but you seriously did nothing at all?
I can't believe it.
Not believing it doesn't change anything. You were the one who suggested using the fridge as a message board.
Wait a second.
You know, you often complain that I'm out and about all the time, so I don't get to my messages. I get your texts and read them, but somehow I don't manage to reply. And then you said it was annoying to get all this information verbally, and you suggested we use the fridge door as a communication tool. Have you forgotten that? Well, it seems like you've never gotten into the habit of checking it.
So what about the preparations?
Well, the house is in his name. When he comes back after retiring, he'll give up the house and we'll have to move out. That's been the plan, right?
Wait.
And I thought that since this news about an overseas assignment came up, I wanted you to discuss your future plans with him. It's an important issue, so I thought you should at least hear it verbally first. But you seemed so uninterested that I wasn't sure if you were paying attention. So I wrote a reminder and stuck it on the fridge, too.
Hold on. I'm going to check. I wrote it down.
Right?
But at 53 years old, going at an overseas assignment? There's no way I, in my 70s, can keep up with that. I absolutely cannot handle living abroad at this age. Are you sure you'll be okay on your own?
I'm not alone. Grace is already over there waiting for me.
What? Grace? How can that be? That ex-wife is waiting for you? That has to be a joke.
It's not a joke. The divorce is temporary, you see.
What do you mean by that? I can't believe that Grace could handle living abroad at all.
Mom, can we please stop underestimating Grace and making these dismissive comments?
What?
Sure, Grace has been a full-time housewife for years, taking care of your grandmother and father, but she graduated from a prestigious university with excellent grades. She's always been academically driven. When she took online courses to prepare for living abroad, she quickly regained her language skills without letting the long break affect her.
But the financial situation.
That's where we get to the main point of our conversation.
The main point?
First of all, Grandma passed away 2 years ago and Dad passed away 3 months ago. Grace has worked hard all those years caring for them, and now that her caregiving responsibilities have ended, you pushed for me to divorce her as if she were no longer needed.
Because I truly didn't need her anymore.
Actually, Grace's maternal grandfather is quite wealthy. At the time of the divorce talks, he approached Grace about giving her a living inheritance.
What?
It seems that Grace is the sole legal heir to her grandfather's fortune. To avoid unnecessary disputes among relatives who have no rights to inherit in the future, he wants to settle everything now.
I can't believe there was such a discussion.
You know that you would absolutely want to get involved in this conversation, and you would definitely make your opinions known.
Of course, whatever belongs to my daughter-in-law should be considered part of the family wealth. It's only natural for me to weigh in on this.
See, this is exactly why we got divorced.
What?
Common sense and the law both dictate that neither I nor you have a say in this matter. It should basically be limited to Grace reaching out for advice when she needs it. Considering this, I thought it might be best to leverage the fact that you kept pushing for the divorce to smoothly progress the discussion about the living inheritance.
Leverage?
Once divorced, we're just strangers. You wouldn't be able to interfere in someone else's family inheritance matters, would you?
Xander, you can't be serious.
I'm serious. From the beginning to the end, I've been on Grace's side. I plan to remarry her when the time is right.
Why?
Grace has told me that she could endure the caregiving duties because I, along with your mother and father, expressed our gratitude to her countless times. She said that our appreciation is what kept her going. There were times when I suggested separating, but she insisted she couldn't while taking care of your grandmother and father. There's no way I could abandon such a respectable wife. On the contrary, I feel that I owe her a lot, and I want to repay her kindness going forward.
But what am I supposed to do now?
I'm saying you should think about your future plans after Carter comes back.
I never imagined things would turn out to be like this.
Regretting the way you treated Grace won't change anything now. I just hope that your regrets will positively influence how you handle your future and your life going forward. Well, goodbye for now.
Wait, Xander, I was planning for you to take care of me when I need assistance in the future, and now you're off on an overseas assignment? I'm in trouble. Xander!
Grace, I'm currently at JFK Airport. I think it's around the middle of the night here. I just wanted to reach out before my boarding time, which is coming up soon.
Thanks for the message, Xander. I figured you'd be reaching out, so I stayed up to wait for your text.
Oh, really? I appreciate that.
By the way, how is Bridget, your mother, doing?
Well, she's managing. Right around the time Carter's luggage arrived, I quickly moved out of the house. I just sent her a quick message to say goodbye a little while ago.
I see.
Grace, I want to sincerely apologize for all the trouble I've caused you up until now.
Xander, you don't have to say all that. I really appreciate everything you've done for me, too. I'm grateful for your support.
Yeah, but let me say this. Thank you for everything up until now. I hope to continue working together as we navigate this new chapter.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
All right then, it's almost time for me to board the plane.
Okay, please be careful during your travels.
Thanks, I will.
Not long after, her husband left home. Bridget's uncle Carter returned. Poor Bridget. He was a much younger brother, but he was quite sharp, and not someone she found easy to deal with. Carter naturally returned with his wife and other children, and their first encounter was quite something. Right off the bat, he bluntly stated, "If you're going to bully my wife or mistreat my children, then you need to leave." That was the way he settled things, and it made Bridget's heart sink a little. Unbeknownst to Bridget, arrangements were already in progress for her admission to a nursing home, which she could enter thanks to her pension. It seemed that her family had been making decisions for her without her knowledge, further complicating her already challenging circumstances. On the morning of her admission to the nursing home, the atmosphere was so charged that she felt she couldn't resist the tide of events. She left her beloved home in tears, heartbroken at the thought of leaving everything familiar. The weight of her situation hung heavily on her shoulders as she stepped out of her home. It felt like a piece of her soul was being left behind. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Each day was a reminder of the choices she had made and the estrangement from her family that followed. The once vibrant woman who had filled her home with laughter and love found herself isolated, engulfed in memories that now felt like ghosts haunting her. She looked out the window, watching the world go by, yearning for the familiar sights of her neighborhood, the friendly waves from neighbors, and the simple joys of her past life. Each passing car, each familiar face that she recognized but couldn't greet, felt like a stab to her heart. And it was as time had moved on without her, leaving her in desolate space of loneliness. Bridget's health began to deteriorate as well. The physical manifestations of her mental anguish were evident. She had aged significantly in what she felt like no time at all. Friends from her past life would have hardly recognized her had they seen her now. Her once bright smile had faded, replaced by a weary expression that spoke volumes of her sorrow and regret. In the nursing home, there were other residents, of course. Some were friendly, some were withdrawn, each with their own stories of loss and longing. Bridget tried to engage with them, but it was challenging. They were often wrapped up in their own worlds, battling their own demons. She could see reflections of her own struggles in their eyes, people who had been cast aside by life. One day, as she sat in the communal area, she overheard a group of women discussing their families, sharing a laughter over memories that made them feel connected. Bridget felt a pang of jealousy and sadness as she listened. The warmth of familiar love seemed so far removed from her reality, as she wished desperately to be part of such conversations. Instead, she found herself retreating into her own silence, feeling like an outsider in a place that should have felt like a community. As time passed, Bridget reflected on her past, contemplating the choices that led to this point. Her mind often drifted back to the day her husband left. It was a day filled with confusion and heartache, but she had never anticipated how drastically her life would change in the aftermath. The emotional wounds ran deep, and the healing process felt almost impossible within the confines of a nursing home. There were moments of clarity amidst the fog of her thoughts. Bridget recognized that she had been stubborn, unwilling to bend or adapt to the changes in her life. She had allowed her pride to dictate her actions, which ultimately led to this place of isolation. The realization stung, but it also sparked a flicker of determination within her. With a newfound sense of purpose, Bridget resolved to try and connect with the other residents more actively. She began participating in activities, attending group meals, and engaging in conversations, even when it felt uncomfortable. Little by little, she started forming connections with few of the residents who shared similar experiences. Their stories resonated with her, and together they found solace in their shared struggles. As weeks turned into months, Bridget found herself laughing more often. The sound of her own laughter surprised her. It felt foreign, yet beautiful. In these moments, she felt a glimmer of hope that perhaps life could still hold joy for her. Each small interaction with her fellow residents began to chip away at the walls that she had built around herself. However, the road to recovery was far from smooth. There were days when the weight of her regrets would come crashing down on her, leaving her feeling desolate once again. During those moments, she would find solace in the garden outside of the nursing home. Surrounded by the beauty of nature, she would take a deep breath, inhaling the fresh air as she closed her eyes. The scent of flowers and the sound of birds chirping would envelop her, providing a much-needed reprieve from her thoughts. One particular afternoon, while sitting on a bench in the garden, Bridget struck up a conversation with a woman named Margaret, who had just moved into a nursing home. Margaret was vibrant, with a zest for life that was infectious. She shared stories of her travels, her family, and the adventures she had experienced. Bridget found herself captivated by Margaret's energy and warmth, feeling drawn to her like a moth to a flame. As they spoke, Bridget felt a renewed sense of hope. Margaret encouraged her to embrace each day with an open heart, reminding her that it's never too late to find joy again. Their friendship blossomed, and soon they were inseparable, sharing meals, stories, and laughter. For the first time in a long while, Bridget felt seen and valued. With Margaret by her side, Bridget began to participate in more activities organized by the nursing home. They attended art classes,
engage in book discussion, and even joined the gardening club. The vibrant colors of the flowers they planted together brought a sense of joy to Bridget's heart. With each new experience, she found herself slowly shedding the heaviness that would weigh her down for so long. One day, during a particularly poignant conversation with Margaret, Bridget opened up about her past, the mistakes she had made, the regrets she carried, and the pain of being alone. Margaret listened intently, offering comfort and understanding. "We all have regrets, Bridget," she said softly. "Matters is what we do with that pain. We can either let it define us or allow it to propel us into a new chapter of our lives." Bridget pondered those words for days. She realized that while her past could not be changed, she had the power to shape her present and future. Inspired by this revelation, she decided to write letters to her family, her husband, her children, and even Carter. It was a daunting task, but she felt an overwhelming need to express her feelings, to apologize for the pain she had caused, and to ask for forgiveness. With Margaret's support, Bridget found the courage to put pen to paper. As she wrote, tears flowed freely, a cathartic release of emotions she had bottled up for far too long. She poured her heart into each letter, acknowledging her mistake and expressing her love for her family. It was a healing process, and with each word, she felt a sense of weight lifting off her shoulders. Once the letters were complete, she hesitated before sending them. The fear of rejection loomed large in her mind, but Margaret reminded her that taking that step was essential for her own healing. "You deserve to be heard, Bridget," she said firmly. "No matter the outcome, this is you reclaiming your voice." After much deliberation, Bridget finally mailed the letters, her heart racing with a mix of anxiety and hope. She had no idea how her family would respond, but she knew she had taken a significant step forward towards healing. Days turned into weeks, and just when she began to wonder if she would ever hear back, a letter arrived from her daughter. With trembling hands, Bridget opened it, her heart pounding in her chest. As she read her daughter's words, tears streamed down her face. Her daughter expressed love, understanding, and a willingness to reconnect. It was beautiful, a heartfelt message that sparked a glimmer of hope in Bridget's heart. Following her daughter's letter, Bridget received responses from her husband and even Carter. They expressed their love for her and their desire to mend the fractured relationships. Each letter brought her joy, and the overwhelming sense of acceptance and forgiveness washed over her. With newfound connections, Bridget felt revitalized. She continued to nurture her friendships at the nursing home, growing closer to Margaret and other residents who had become her support system. Their shared experiences and laughter became a balm for her soul, filling the void that had once consumed her. As time passed, Bridget transformed from a woman burdened by regret into one filled with purpose and joy. She found herself engaging in more activities, helping others in the nursing home, and volunteering her time to make the place feel like a true community. Her laughter echoed in the hallways once more, a melody of hope that inspired those around her. Bridget's journey of healing had just begun, but she was determined to embrace every moment. The woman who once left her homes in tears now stood tall, surrounded by friends and family who loved her. With each passing day, she discovered that life, even in its most challenging moments, could still hold beauty and connection. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of this story, and see you on the next one.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.